friends, it's Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a quick review of Prelude to Leadership, the post-war diary of John F. Kennedy, and this is edited by Deidre Henderson, who was a research assistant to Senator Kennedy and then served in the State Department under the Kennedy administration. The actual diary portion of this book only consists of about 84 pages, and then there is a notes section where the editor just explains some of the historical events that are covered in the book, and then also tries to reconcile some of the discrepancies and some of the dates in the diary pages. Lastly, there are facsimiles of the actual diary pages, most of which are typed, but there are a few handwritten pages as well, which are pretty neat to see. John F. Kennedy was 28 years old when he wrote this diary, and he was traveling Europe on behalf of the Hearst newspapers. He was supposed to be reporting on post-war conditions there after the German surrender. His extensive family connections would definitely help gain him access to important political figures, and he was actually traveling with the Secretary of Navy, James Forstall. You'll get to see Kennedy observing the Potsdam Conference, touring Hitler's Eagle's Nest, walking the ruined streets of Berlin, and also meeting the Irish president. Being well-traveled is not necessarily an indication that someone has any greater insight into the population or politics of a particular country. It's typically an indication of wealth, and John F. Kennedy was definitely very privileged and very wealthy. Admittedly, Kennedy never experiences firsthand the devastation of poverty, and one of the things that struck me about this diary and also some other accounts that I've read of Kennedy is that he definitely takes it upon himself to educate himself not only about international politics and economic systems, but also about individual circumstances and experiences. And these seem to be genuine efforts. There are notes in this diary on his encounters with an anonymous German girl, and in typical JFK style, he seems to be able to get her to reveal to him a lot of information, including her religion and encounters with the invading Russian army. Most of the diary is comprised of Kennedy's notes and observations about the economic and political situation of the period and concerns about any power vacuums left in Europe that the Soviet Union would be all too happy to fill up. There definitely is a lot of foreshadowing of the Cold War and some situations that Kennedy will later have to deal with as president. There are several humorous anecdotes about notable figures in this diary, one including that of a close talker, and there's a whole Seinfeld episode about a close talker that's pretty funny if you're interested in that. One of the things that Kennedy does in his diary that really resonated with me is he lists books, and these are books on particular topics that he either thinks are notable or hopes to read, and that's definitely something that I do, and probably a lot of you out there watching BookTube do. I have notebooks all over this house and at work and in my purse where I write down books that I've either seen in a BookTube video or heard through conversation, and that seems to be something that Kennedy did a lot as well. The appendix of the book includes Kennedy's top 10 favorite books as given in 1961. Most of these are biographical British and U.S. history texts, with the exception of one Ian Fleming James Bond novel, From Russia with Love. Here's that list for any of you that are interested. Most of the time with John F. Kennedy, what we see is the polished, rehearsed, finished product. So I always enjoy seeing anything that is not that. I've always enjoyed looking at the doodles that he draws on cabinet agendas and any little bit of information that gives us a glimpse into the man. And this diary definitely represents one of those items. One thing that's very interesting to note about the Potsdam Conference is that we have President Truman, who is making very crucial decisions about the administration of Germany and also making, key decisions about dropping atomic bombs on the Japanese to end the war in the Pacific. And he's seeking advice from General Eisenhower, who will become his successor as president. And then we have Kennedy, who's kind of on the periphery doing this reporting, and 16 years later he will become president of the United States. So we have 3 presidents at the Potsdam Conference, of course unbeknownst to those players at the time, but very interesting, very historic. This is definitely a little unique piece of history, I think, for Kennedy fans. Not a very lengthy diary, and definitely not something that will give you any sort of major revelations, but I enjoyed it and I would recommend it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're having a great week, and I will see you in my next one. Thanks, guys.